Erev Tov לכולם, בעזרת השם, the lecture going to be in English, בעזרת השם, I want to say a couple of words in English. בעזרת השם, the show going to be for רפואה שלמה, by חיים יוסף בן אסטריה. בעזרת השם של רפואה שלמה, וגם... מה השם שם היה? אילן בן שרה שלי, שהקדוש ברוך הוא ישלח לנו רפואה שלמה. אנחנו שמחים לארח אצלנו הרב חשוב מאוד, שברוך השם גם אתמול נתן הרצאה וגם היום ייתן, אז בבקשה מכולם, אנחנו שמחים לארח את הרב הגדול, הרב מנסור. בכבוד כל הרב.
ברשות הרב מרד דאתרא הרב כהן, השם ישמרהו ויחייהו, יאריך ימים על ממלכתו, אמן. לכבוד קהל קדוש. I am guilty. I have been coming to Miami for 20 years at least, since I was a young boy. And I'm embarrassed to say that this is the first time that I'm stepping foot in this synagogue. To be honest, I don't even know if I knew that this existed here. Shame on me. It's my loss. I want to say to the people that pray and are part of this synagogue, you are very lucky. When I walked in, I received a feeling immediately of tremendous warmth, tremendous respect for Talmidei Chachamim in the old Sephardic tradition that we have. The Bukharian community is old community that traces its back thousands of years, Al Taharat HaKodesh. And Baruch Hashem, you have a great rabbi in front of you, so you have all the recipes. You have a beautiful synagogue, you have beautiful people, a great rabbi, you have good coffee. That's it. What else do you need? B'li neder, I hope that I could be a guest here more often, B'azat Hashem. We just read Parashat Korah. Last night we spoke one derash on Korah. Tonight we say a different derash. There was one rabbi, he only knew how to speak on Parashat Korah. He doesn't know any Divrei Torah, only Korah. So what does he do? He used to go give a derash, it's Parashat Noah. But how's he going to talk about Korah? So he brings a dog with him. They say, what a strange rabbi. He brings a dog, and the dog comes up to the pulpit, and he says, Rabotai, today we're going to talk about Parashat Noah. But he has nothing to say. He kicks the dog. So the dog starts barking. So he says, Korah, keep quiet. Okay, ready, we talked about Korah. Baruch Hashem, I left my dog at home tonight. It's Parashat Korah. Rashi says right in the beginning, Parasha zo yafeh nidreshet. This parasha has a lot of analysis in the Midrash. Rashi is giving us advice. Make sure you look at the Midrash in this parasha. It's full. Parasha zo yafeh nidreshet. One rabbi asked, since when does Rashi give me advice? Rashi is a commentator. Rashi comes to explain the text, not to give me a suggested reading material. So the rabbi explained like this. When a rabbi comes from out of town to speak, he has to go to the local rabbi and say, what topic should I talk about? What's the issue? He's, Kivod Arav, they need Hizuk on Shabbat. Speak to them on Shabbat. Good, now you know the topic. Other times they say, no, speak to them about Taharat Mishpacha, Hizuk for the mikveh. But Rashi is telling us, Parasha Zo, the Parasha of Korah, Yafeh Nidreshet. Any rabbi that gets up and speaks about the topic of korah, it's always the right topic. Because the story of korah talks about mahloket. It talks about divisiveness and factionalism and splitting up Klal Yisrael. And unfortunately, that problem is always current. That problem, unfortunately, in every community, at every time of the year, like the Ben Ish Chai says, Ubnei Korah lo metu. Although Korah is not here anymore, but Bnei Korah, his descendants, amen, are still alive today. Unfortunately, the troublemakers, the divisive people that come and make mahloket in Klal Yisrael, Ubnei Korah lo metu. Parasha zo yafeh nidreshet. This parasha always is la'inyan, is always pertinent. What is not so well known, nobody likes mahloket. It's uncomfortable to be in a fight with somebody. It's uncomfortable to be arguing with somebody. It's uncomfortable to have somebody that's not talking to you or not inviting you to the farah, to the parties. But people don't realize it's not just uncomfortable, it's isur. The Torah says, Velo yihye ka'adat korah. The Hafetz Chaim learns on this pasuk, there's an isur min Torah. You're not allowed to be like Korah. It's a sin from the Torah. Just like none of us would go eat has v'shalom taref. None of us would turn on the light on Shabbat. None of us would put on our shoulders shatnez. These sins we know. Making mahloket, according to the Hafetz Chaim, is a sin from the Torah. Don't be like Korah. Velo tiyeh ke Korah v'cha'adato. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, Hay tigra. This mahloket, dameh libitka demaya, is similar to a dam. Dam is a big wall that blocks the water from coming into the city. And mahloket is like a dam that has a little crack in it. And the water is just dripping through. It's not dangerous. However, the Gemara says, Kevan de ravah, ravah. If you don't take care of it when it's small, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And after a certain amount of time, you can't fix it. Now all of a sudden, the deluge of water comes crashing through the wall and floods the city. And therefore the Gemara says, at the first moment when you see mahloket, you have to nip it in the bud. You cannot let it fester. You cannot let it continue because it grows. And it grows at a rapid rate. But minan, like a cancerous cell, God forbid. You have to catch the cell from the beginning. But after it reaches a certain stage, it's too big to fight. Therefore, a person always has to be on guard not to let even the smallest hairline mahloket exist. Make peace, finish it off. I once brought a proof to this. You remember the story of Abraham and Lot? They were traveling together. Lot was Abraham's nephew. So the pasuk says, "Vahi riv ben ro'em mikneh Lot uben ro'em mikneh Abraham." There was a fight between the shepherds. So Abraham goes to Lot right in the beginning. He says, "Al na teheh biriba beni ubenecha." Let's not have a fight between us. You go your way, I'll go my way. We asked the question. The pasuk originally calls the quarrel a riv. Vahi riv. Riv is masculine. Abraham then tells Lot, Al na tehi meriva. Meriva is feminine. Why the change of masculine to feminine? Feminine represents something that gives birth, like a lady. The lady represents production. The lady is fruitful. Abraham says, now in the early stages it's a riv, it's like a male, it's not productive. But I'm worried, I'm worried that this should turn into a fruitful mahloket, and then it's going to grow. And that's the nature of mahloket. It always starts as a riv, but then it becomes a meriva. And that's why one big rabbi said, if you take the letters of mahloket, mem, het, lamed, kof, taf, think in your minds how you spell the letter mem, not in the script, in the Torah's mem. Mem is basically a square box with a little hole on the bottom. That's how mahloket starts. A little crack, a small little hole. What's the next letter after the mem? Het. Oh, the het has a big wide opening. From a small little hole in the mem, keman de ravah ravah. Now the het is much wider. And if you don't take care of it, what happens? It shoots up to the sky like the head of the lamed. And then what? It goes all the way down like the letter of the kof. It starts to go in all directions. And then after a certain amount of time, it becomes like the taf that has two legs, and the mahlok becomes permanent. It becomes stable. It went from a man which is very innocuous, very small, and before you know it, that becomes the way. It reminds me of a shul that they brought a young rabbi to become the leader. So the rabbi gets up, it was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, so he's making Misha Berach. So the president gets up and says, excuse me, Rabbi, we don't say this Misha Berach. Okay, he doesn't know. Okay. He stops. The vice president gets up. No, we do say it. Oh, now he's stuck. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what to do. The secretary gets up. We say it. The treasurer gets up. We don't say it. Wow. Now the whole shul, half the shul screaming, say it. Half the shul screaming, don't say it. They're fighting and they're yelling. The rabbi's in the middle. He doesn't know what to do. He's a chachamba. He says, let me find the oldest man in the synagogue, and he'll tell me what the minhag is. So he finds the oldest guy there. He says, Adoni, what's the minhag of the shul? He said, Rabbi, this is the minhag. This became the minhag. We fight every year on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. We say, half the shul says, we say, then we pray Musaf. That's the minhag. And that's what happens, unfortunately. All of a sudden, the mahlok becomes the way of life. But it's not so well known what Rabbi Chaim Vital says. Chaim Vital writes, Mahloket achat doche me'a parnasot. One mahloket pushes away 100 opportunities to make parnasah. Now everybody listens. Hafetz Chaim said it's a sin from the Torah. Okay, there's a lot of sins. Avraham Avinu, okay, that's the old people, old timers. But now it's affecting the wallet.
The guilt.
Now everybody's listening with 2 ears. What do you mean, Dohem Me'apan Nasut? Exactly what it says. And he quotes a pasuk. Hasam givulech shalom, helev chitim yasbi'ech. If there's peace in your borders, Hasam givulech shalom, then helev chitim yasbi'ech. You'll be satiated from the fattened wheat. That implies where there's shalom, there's berakah. But hafta shalom, if there's the opposite, it pushes away not one opportunity, 100 opportunities. Now I'm not a businessman. You men would know more than me Today, there are not too many opportunities to make parnasah in the first place. Do we have the luxury to push away 100 opportunities to parnasot? So it doesn't make sense financially to be involved in mahloket. I'd like to explain, with your permission, a little of how this works. Because I see it's elevated Kahal Kadosh, I am allowing myself to talk on a higher level tonight. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, His name, His holy name is Yud-Ke Vav-Ke. I'm looking for it on the wall somewhere. You must have it somewhere on the wall.
We all know.
No, I also know, but you have to have something on the wall that says Yud-Ke Vav-Ke. Okay, Bezat Hashem, the next time. Yud-Ke Vav-Ke is Hashem's name of mercy. But there's also a name of God, Aleph, Daled, Nun, and Yud. They call that Adanut. Shem Adanut is a name of judgment. Those letters, Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud, is the same letters as Dinah. Dinah de Malchuta Dinah, strict judgment. So you have Yud-Ke Vav-Ke over here, and you have Adanut over here. We always try to stay under the Yud-Ke Vav-Ke. We try to stay under the umbrella of mercy, and we try to keep far away from the Dinim. But they're there. The great Tzaddikim, they do what's called Mituk Adinim. I'm going to explain to you what that means. If I have a cup of coffee, the coffee is bitter. Maror zeh. And I have in my right hand a cube of sugar. The sugar is very sweet, and the coffee is very bitter. So how do I make mituk? I take the sugar, I put it in the coffee. Now I turned a bitter coffee into a delectable, delicious drink. Now, that's easy in coffee. How do we do this with the names of God? Yud-Ke Vav-Ke, sugar. The Adanut, strict. So, based on my example, I have to take the Yud-Ke Vav-Ke, the sugar, and put it in the Adanut somehow, and therefore it'll make a sweetening of judgments. But how do I do this? I know how to put sugar in the coffee, but how do I combine names of God? Tonight I'm going to give you one of those ways. One rabbi said, if you take the letters of Yud-Ke Vav-Ke and you put it on top, Yud, He, Vav, He, right underneath it, like you're doing multiplication, underneath it put Aleph, Dalid, Nun, Yud. Put the times sign and put a line. And now multiply it. That's how you make a mituk. You multiply God's merciful name by His name of judgment. Let's do the math together. Yud times Aleph. You understand what I'm doing? The Yud of Yud-Ke Vav-Ke and the Aleph of Adanut. So it's 10 times 1. 10 times 1 is how much? 10. Hazak Baruch. Then you have He. He times David. Very good. Because you have a paper in front of you, you're smart. You can be able to see it. So that's 5 times 4. That's 20. How much we have so far? 30. 20 plus 10. 30 is correct. Keep Hezbon. Vav, Yud-Ke Vav, Aleph Daled Nun. 6 times 50. 6 times 50 is 300. So now we have 330. He is 5 times Yud. That's 50. So altogether we have 380. That makes a super mituk. A super sweetening. I'm multiplying it. We did it. Yud, He, Vav, He, Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud. Now, if you take the word Shalom, Sheen is 300, Lamed is 30, Vav is 6, Mem is 40, that is 376, and the 4 letters, Shin, Lamed, Vav, Mem, is 380. When one is involved in making shalom, what you're really doing in the upper worlds is you're taking the Yudke, Vavke, and you're combining it with the Adanut by multiples, not addition, by multiples, and you're sweetening judgments. That means when dinim are coming down, and you're trying to say, how do I get rid of these dinim? You make shalom. Once there's shalom, you have now made this mituk din in the highest order, in the highest level. Many times people come to me, and they have problems. But minan, either it's health problems, lo alenu velo alechem, or issues in parnasa. So they come for advice, but they don't want to listen to what I have to say because they think they know better. So they come and they say, Rabbi, we're having the worst mazal. Should I go check the mizuzot? It's always the mizuzot's fault. Because they are tzaddikim. So we have to blame it on the mizuzah. Yeah, those mizuzot. And then they go check the mezuzot and the sofer says they're perfect. It must be the tefillin. We found another scapegoat. Don't blame it on the tefillin. I tell them always, first question, is there somebody that you have mahloket with? Yeah, I'm not talking to, but that's not it. No, that is it. That is the source of all the dinim. Mahloket is the same letters as Helek Mavet. It's a piece of Mavet, Has v'Shalom. And therefore it blocks a lot of channels. But Minan, in the story of Korah, even infants, Tinokot, since when does God ever punish babies? Tinokot, the most innocent amongst us, they have no sins. But if they're involved in a mahloket, the mahloket is like a poison that comes down and even affects the most innocent. So this person is telling me, yeah, his kids, he's having issues. Where's the mahloket? Like an exterminator. You have to go and rout it out. And even if you have to swallow your pride to make the shalom, at least now you'll be under the shefa of beracha. Do you know that I found in a sefer called Me'il Tzedakah, and I also saw it brought by Rabbi Chaim Palachi as well, that during the fight of Korah, when Korah was fighting against Moshe, do you know for all those days the man did not fall? There was no man. Once there was mahloket in Klal Yisrael, all the shefa stopped. So all of Klal Yisrael got affected. A poor child wants to eat breakfast. His mother said, there's no man today. Why, mommy? Why no man? There's mahloket today. It's not going to come down until it's settled. So Rabbi Chaim Palachi says, pay attention. When the Jewish people worshipped the Egel, the man came down. Avodah Zarah. God says, Avodah Zarah is bad, but doesn't stop Parnasah. Fighting, mahloket, finished. So everybody's saying, oh, I'm not making a business, I lost my job. Fix. Shalom bayit. With your spouse, or maybe a brother, or a cousin, or a relative, or a neighbor. No, it's the mezuzah. The magical 380 of Shalom is the magical multiple of Havaya and Adanut. But I want to say a little more tonight in honor of the Kahal. The Jewish Hebrew language that we speak, Lashon HaKodesh, is different than most languages. Most languages, take English, we write from left to right. English, think of how you write. You start from the left and you go to the right. Most languages, if not all, go left to right. Lashon HaKodesh is one of those exceptions. Lashon HaKodesh goes right to left. Now that's by design. Because according to the holy books, things that come from the left are judgment. And things that come from the right are mercy. Ben Ish Chai says, when you clap your hands, you should clap yamin al semon, because you want the right to go on the left. When you put on your shirt in the morning, you put your right sleeve in first. When you wash, you always wash your right hand first. We always give precedent to the right. The right is chesed. I don't know if you ever saw the Hasidim. You know what Hasidim are? They have Hasidim in Florida? Yeah. They found it? They found it. So the Hasidim, their shirts, they make special custom-made shirts. You see on our American shirts,
small, left.
The left goes over the right. We have no choice. That's the way they make the shirts. The Hasidim make special shirts reverse. So the right goes on the left. Ashrei Yisrael. They're very careful on this. So anytime we're writing Lashon HaKodesh, we're activating Midat HaRahamim, Midat HaHasadim. Anytime we write in other languages, we're activating Midat HaDin. That's why our language is a right to left language. However, leave the words, leave words. Think of letters now. How are the letters written? Let's say you want to write a letter Aleph. From which side do you start an individual letter? For example, Aleph. No, think good. You take the pen, you put it on the paper, you start from the left, and you go to right. If I want to write the letter Bet, I start from left, and I go to right. So although the word is read right to left, the individual letter is left to right. You're following?
Yeah.
What does this have to do with anything? I'm going to tell you a secret. The Sephardim HaKedoshim say the Jewish people are called Yisrael. We know that. Mi anachnu, Yisrael. Yisrael is Rashi Tevot. Yesh 60 ribo otiyot laTorah. There are 600,000 letters in the Torah. I didn't count, but they say there's about 300,000 letters. But each letter can be made up of a few letters. For example, an Aleph is made up of a Vav and 2 Yuds. So therefore, you can come to 600,000 letters. And the holy books say that every Jew is a letter in the Torah. Where does our neshama, our spirituality come from? From the Kiddusha of the Torah. When the Torah comes out, Rabbi Eli says, you're supposed to try to find the letter that starts with your name. My name is Eliyahu. I look for the Aleph. A word that starts with an Aleph. Aharon, there's an Aleph there. And we kiss it. Because the Kiddusha, we are plugged into the Sefer Torah. Yisrael, yesh 60 ribo otiyot Torah, which means if I'm looking at you in the eyes of Rabbi Eli, I see a Zayin, I see a Chaf Sofit, I see an Ayin, I see a Gimal, I see a Resh. These are all letters. Everybody's a letter. Don't take what I'm saying lightly. You know what the halakha says? If God forbid somebody is at the bedside of somebody that passes away, What does the halakha say? At the moment of Yetziat Neshama, whoever's there, even if you're not related, Bar Minan, the person has to make Kiriyah. He has to rip. And the halakha says, Kesefer Torah shenisraf. Like a Sefer Torah, God forbid that's burnt. If somebody sees a Sefer Torah burnt, he has to make Kiriyah. What are they comparing a guy in the hospital to Sefer Torah? Because he's a letter in the Sefer Torah. Every Jew is a letter. And Bar Minan, if one letter of the Sefer Torah gets erased, the Sefer Torah becomes pasul. Every time a Jew expires, we lost the halak of the Sefer. Every Jew is an ot. Oh, but this is a problem. Because if every Jew is an ot, is a letter, which direction does letters go? Letters go left to right. So that means all of us are under the umbrella of judgment. Bar Minan. We don't want to be letters. We want to be words. Because words go from right to left. How do you turn a letter into a word? You connect it with other letters. When there's Ahdut in Am Yisrael, now when I look at Kahal Kadosh, I don't see letters, I see Pesukim. This row over here, Vaidaber. Oh, Vaidaber, perfect, that's a letter, that's a word. Vaidaber is right to left. This over here, El Moshe Lemor, perfect, right to left. But that's only when there's Shalom. That's only when there's camaraderie. Chas v'shalom, if there's no peace amongst Klal Yisrael, we turn words into letters. And we change the direction from right to left to right. And then Chas v'shalom, the dinim come down. This is behind the scenes the way it works. A person get into a fight in the kahal. He makes politics. He's making noise. What is he doing? He's separating the words of the Torah. And now he's bringing judgment on the whole place. Not only on himself. But where there's ahava ve'ahava shalom v're'ut, there's a unity. The direction is turned. I want to say a hidush. Do you know that God has another name of judgment? You see, I'm coming here tonight not to tell you stories. I don't have too many stories. I want you to understand how it works behind the curtains. What's going on in the upper worlds. So the next time you're going to contemplate mahluk, you say, oh, I remember the rabbi talked, Havaya, Danut, there's stuff going on. It's not just cheap. Yes, that's correct. One of the names of God of judgment is Elohim. You're familiar with that, I'm sure. Elohim is also Dini. Whenever you see Elohim, if you have to run for your life. That's the judgments. What's the numerical value of Elohim? 86. Excellent. You're supposed to know that like that. The tip of your tongue. Elohim is 86. Listen to this pasuk now. Ve'ahavta lere'acha kamocha ani Adonai. What does the pasuk say? Love your neighbor as yourself. I am God. Is it possible to love somebody like you love yourself? It's very hard. We love ourselves more than anyone. How could we love somebody equal? Unless the pasuk should be read like this. Take the word kamocha. How much is kamocha equal? 86. Let's go slow before you answer. Maybe it's 87. Chaf is how much? 20. Mem is how much? 60.
66.
Vav is 66. Chaf Sofit, 20. So it's 86. Now it's 86.
With them kamocha.
No, I'm not counting them. Why do I have to count the kamocha? It ruins the hadush. Don't touch your feet when you're learning Torah. You have to go wash your hands now. Beseder, for me it's beseder, but for you it's not beseder. Kamocha is 86, which is the numerical value of God's name of Elokim. You know what the pasuk is saying? Ve'ahavta l're'acha. When there's peace amongst Jews, Kamocha, the name of Elohim becomes Ani Adonai, becomes Yudke Vavke, becomes mercy. You're able to turn the Kamocha, which is Deen, 86, into Yudke Vavke, into the merciful name of Hashem. This is the essence of what Mahloket is able to do. You're making Mitukadinim. Somebody asked me a few years ago, what is the source, or is there a source in Judaism for a handshake? When we want to make peace with somebody, we shake hands. We have a deal? We have a deal. We shake hands. Why don't we pull the earlobe? Why don't you squeeze his nose? Where did... No, that's not the answer over here. It's okay, it's okay. Come, sit over here. Why is it that when we shake hands, we go like this, which is a symbol of shalom? So I'm going to explain it to you. Every day, our minhag Sephardim, we make Birkat Kohanim. In the Birkat Kohanim, there's 3 Pesukim. Yebarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'choneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem necha shalom. Yebarechecha. What is Yebarechecha? B'mamon. The first beracha, money. But then v'yishmerecha. Once a person has money, he needs protection. He needs to be safe, that the Ganavim shouldn't come and take it away from him. Then you need Yishmerecha. The second pasuk, Ya'er Hashem panav. We're asking for Ha'arat Panim, which is a great blessing, because when God shines His light on the person, he can go far places. V'choneka, you should have hen. Hen is charm. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem necha shalom. But the biggest beracha is shalom. Because you can have all these previous blessings, but without peace, what is it worth? If a person comes home to a big mansion, and he has servants, and he has all the luxuries of life, but nobody in the family is talking to each other. Each one eats at a different table. Each one's cursing the next one out. So what is all the beracha worth? So therefore the final beracha, which is the key, is shalom. Now, the Kohanim, when they give us this blessing, they lift their hands up. The holy books say that the blessings come from the hands of the Kohanim. That's why we're not allowed to look at them. That's why they cover their heads, they cover their hands. The Shekinah is on their hands. Now, listen to what it says. I was once at an orthopedist. My daughter had broken her leg. I brought her to the doctor from the community. He has a big skeleton of a human being in his office there. So I'm looking at it, I'm paying no attention to it. So I asked the doctor, I said, Doctor, you're an orthopedist, how many joints are there in the hand? He doesn't know. How did you know this? I'm not a doctor and I know it. He said, well, how many? I said, 14. That's why in Hebrew we call a hand Yad. Yad is Yudadid. And then I showed him on the skeleton. You see the joints? The thumb has 2 joints. Every other finger has 3 joints. The knuckle, the middle knuckle, and then the front over here, the 3rd knuckle. So you have 4 fingers that have 3 joints each, that's 12. And then the thumb has 2. So that's 14. That's what we call the hand Yad. The 14 joints. Says the holy books that each joint represents a different word in Birkat Kohanim. Yebarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha Ya'er Hashem panav elecha. 14 joints, 14 words. But there's only one problem. There's 15 words in the Birkat Kohanim. Where does the shalom come from? The Zohar HaKadosh says the shalom is the palm. Here's where the shalom is, in the palm. And maybe that's where they got the custom. When people want to make a treaty, they click the palms against each other, because by the Goyim they go like this. They do peace. That doesn't mean anything. But the minhag of the world, especially by Am Yisrael, they took a handshake. A handshake, you're pressing the two shaloms together to make an everlasting peace. Kamocha ani Hashem. It turns judgment into mercy. I once gave advice that sometimes you have to be willing to pay for the peace. Our religion is very costly. We're always paying for something. Where everybody in the world gets free tuition, we have to pay exorbitant prices for tuition. It's not an option for us. We have to send our kids to yeshivot. The Goyim can go to McDonald's, Bar Minan, they can eat the whole family, hu ve'ishto, shnei banav, $23. And each guy got a milkshake like Og Melech Bashan. Each one got a triple size hamburger. And they get a toy also when they come out. And we go, it costs money. It costs money to be kosher. But we have no option. We have to be kosher. It costs us money, we have to do it. It costs us money to make Shabbat, to make Hagim. We have to buy equipment. On Sukkot, you need a sukkah. You need dulav and etrog. And Hanukkah, you need a Hanukkiyah. You need Shemen Zayit, etc. Matzot. Matzah Shemurah is expensive. Lechem Oni. So we're accustomed to paying for mitzvot. Nobody would walk into the lulav and the etrog store. I'm not paying. Give it to me. Yeah, you have to pay. This is what it is. Guess what? You pay for tefillin, you pay for your sisi, you pay for the mikveh, you pay for the food. Peace is also a mitzvah. So you have to get in the habit sometimes that even if it costs you money to make the peace, make the peace. Pay. You pay for every other mitzvah. So even if you have to be willing to make a settlement, no, I have to put my hand in my pocket, we'll fight till the end. Why? So that they didn't go on the person. Make a settlement, finish, so you have to take some money and then pay him off. Khalas, you got rid of it. Now the shalom is back intact. For a few dollars, the people are being penny wise or penny foolish. If they would make the peace, more beracha would come down. Instead, they're spiting themselves. I told a story once, Maaseh Shaya, a true story. There was a fellow, he gets the New York Times to his door. I'm not advocating that you should get the New York Times to your door, but this is the story. Every morning he comes out, and he gets the paper, and he sees that the paper is red. Somebody read his newspaper. You can tell it's not folded. It's like an already read newspaper. So he calls up the New York Times delivery guy. Says, "You're sending me a used newspaper?" How do you use newspaper? We deliver it at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's brand new. So I'm telling you, I go out there and it's used. It's not us. So one day he says, I'm going to go find out. He drops it at 5 o'clock in the morning. He gets up 5 o'clock in the morning, he looks outside the window, he sees the guy throw the newspaper, a fresh newspaper. All of a sudden he sees his neighbor come outside in a robe with slippers, and he takes the newspaper, he walks next door. And then at 6:25 he comes back, he puts the newspaper there. He says, this Rasha Merusha, Ganav. This guy's taking my newspaper every morning. So he says, I'm going to get him. So the next morning he waits by the door, the guy puts the newspaper, opens the door, hey! What are you doing? He says, I'm going to go read your newspaper. You're going to go read your chutzpah? You don't have any busha, no shame. So the guy says, what do you care? You don't read it till 6:30. Do I always bring it back by 6:30? Was I ever late? It's always there when you want it. So what do you care if I read it? The words are fading because I read it. I don't do the crossword puzzle. I'm just reading your newspaper. Why can't two people read the newspaper? What does it bother you? So the guy says, are you for real? Are you for real? You're justifying why you're allowed to take my newspaper and read it? And you don't understand why I have claims? He says, I don't understand. I'm clueless. Why should you have a claim on me? The guy's burning now. Because if the guy would have said, Hatati, Haviti, Pashati, okay, no problem. But the guy's arrogant guy, he doesn't even give an apology. He says, I'm right. You're being foolish. You're being stingy. Why not share the paper with somebody else? Especially when you're not losing. He got so angry, this guy. Like neighbors. How important is it to have shalom with your neighbors? You see your neighbors 10 times a day. If you don't have shalom with your neighbors, you can't live. Every time you come home now, you have to walk on the other side of the street, and you're always calculating, I'll wait. They just walked out of the house, let me wait till they leave. You can't live like that. Anyway, he came to the rabbi. They both prayed in the same shul. And they sit down, and the rabbi says, okay, say the case. So they say the case, and the rabbi's shocked also, because what do you have to say? I'm right. What does he care if I'm reading his newspaper? So the rabbi thinks, he asked the guy, he says, how much is a subscription for the New York Times? It's $150 a year. He says, I'm giving a psak din. Buy your neighbor his own subscription. So the guy says, I should buy. He's reading my newspaper. I thought you were going to say he should buy the newspaper. And I have to. So the rabbi said, for $150, you're going to make the biggest shalom. Sure enough, he listened to the rabbi. The next day, the guy gets his own newspaper. He's walking out, he sees the news. He calls up the Times and says, where did this come from? Your neighbor bought it for you. Oh, what a guy. He goes to him, I'm embarrassed. You don't have to, no, it's my, now for $150, these guys became friends. Now there's shalom, now there's barakah. He went to the rabbi and says, the best $150 I ever spent in my life. But what happens to us? The ego gets involved. I'm not spending it. Good, so fight for 20 years. Wasn't good. People go out for dinner, they pay $50 for nothing, for spaghetti that costs 3 cents. That they don't have a problem with. So for this, so you pay some money, big deal. As long as it makes the peace. Pay for peace. You have to put that in your head. It's kedai. But I'd like to say another Hiddush tonight. Which I think is a big Hiddush. The Gemara says there was a rabbi called Shammai. One day, a convert, actually he wasn't a convert, he was a goy. He came to Shammai's yeshiva. Shammai had very little patience for nonsense. The goy says, Gayireni al regel ahat. I want to make a conversion standing on one leg, a one-legged conversion. Shammai says, what is this business over here, one-legged? This is not hopscotch. He took the ruler, he threw him out. So where does he go? He goes across the street to Hillel. Baruch haba, how can I help you? Gayireni al regal ahat. I want to convert on one leg. Which the way I understand him is he wants a quick conversion. So Hillel says, no problem, you came to the right place. He tells him, Da'anak saneh lahabrach la ta'abid. What you don't want people to do to you, don't do to them. The idach and the rest, zil gemor, the rest is commentary. Don't worry about everything else. And I'm amazed. Hillel makes such a conversion like this. Even Barmanan, the Habdil bin At-Tamel, At-Tahor, the conservative and the reform, they have some standard, although it's not a standard. But it's not like this. Be a nice guy. The nice guy conversion. This is a crackerjack conversion. How can Hillel, who's a big tzaddik, make converts like that? And the rest of the Torah, we'll go read it. Unless we're not understanding the depth of this Gemara. The depth of this Gemara is as follows. But you need an introduction to understand it. Everybody has a neshama. Where is the neshama? Most people, when they say neshama, they go like this. No, they're wrong. Neshama is here. Neshama is in the brain. Halakha says when a person bathes, he has to bathe his head first, because that's where the neshama is. Kavod to the neshama. That's why we put a kippah. The men put a kippah on their head. Kavod to the neshama. Now watch. What is the neshama? So it's brought down in Sephardic Kedushim. The neshama is made up of lights, orot. A perfect neshama has 613, we'll call them bulbs. And the game of life is to try to light as many bulbs as you can. The one with the most bulbs lit at the end is the winner. How do you light the bulbs? Tariq mitzvot. A person does kibud aba'im, boom, that bulb lights up. You got 612 to go. Brit Milah, the 8th day he did, bing, he has that lit. What else? Shemirat Shabbat, boom, another one. But says the rabbis, what happens if you don't get them all lit? So then they talk about a concept called Gilgul Nishamot, where sometimes the Neshamot have to make a repeat performance. They're recycled. They have to come back again. Which is a topic not for tonight. But one rabbi asked, what do you mean, Rabbi? It's impossible. Nobody can get a perfect score. It's impossible to go 613 for 613. For example, I'm not a Cohen. So right away, I cannot make Birkat Kohanim. So what, that bulb that I have, not going to be lit. I'm not a farmer in Israel. So bingo, Shemitah, all those bulbs are out. You have certain people, they only have girls. They never did the mitzvah, Brit Milah, on their children. Somebody had a girl first. He can never do pidyon. Well, everybody in this room did Peter Hamor. Pidyon Peter Hamor, go find the Hamor. There's a lot of Hamorim, but you have to find Peter Hamor, the first Hamor. It's a rare mitzvah. Now they just did it in Panama. They did a Peter Hamor. But it's a rare mitzvah. Not everybody has Peter Hamor. So not everybody can really do all the mitzvot. So listen to what Rabbeinu Ari says. Amazing hadush. Amazing hadush. Now I'm synthesizing it for you so you'll understand it. He says that if a person is at one with Am Yisrael, he has a unity with Am Yisrael, you get to share each other's mitzvot. It's like a company. If there's a stock on the stock market, so I pay money to buy shares. Now I'm part of the company. So now when they have dividends, they send me a dividend also. I'm part of the company. We share everything together. If I don't have a share in the company, they're not going to send me a dividend check. That's obvious. So now I'm one with Klal Yisrael. I love Klal Yisrael. Oh, so now I get to trade with them. I say, listen, you did a Peter Hamon, I need a Peter Hamon. Oh, but you did a Brit Milah, I need the Milah. Oh, but you can take this one, give me that. Now already you start to trade and share each other's mitzvot. It's an amazing thing. The Ahdut gives us many more lights on our neshama that otherwise would remain dark and we'd have to come back as Gilgul. An amazing thing, the Ahdut. I love all the Jews. Good. You don't need to have a farm in Israel. The farmer does it, he's covered you. Yeah, but he needs Talmud Torah because he can't learn that much. Okay, I'll give him my Torah. We're all in the business together. But Haz v'Shalom, if there's no Ahdut, so you're not part of the firm, you're not part of the group, you're not part of the company. That's why Rabbeinu Ari said, every morning when you wake up in Shahri, the first words before we pray is, Hareni mekabel alai mitzvat aseh sher ve'ahavta l'racha kamocha v'hareni ohev et kol echad b'bnei Yisrael kenafshi u'modi. I love everybody. Good. V'hareni mezameh peh sheli l'tpalel. Now I'm ready to pray. But says Rabbeinu Ari, wait, it still doesn't answer the question. Because there's certain mitzvot that nobody could do. The Ketoret. Did anybody bring the Ketoret today? There's no Ketoret. Nobody brought the Ketoret. So that bulb, I could love every Jew from here to China, but there's nobody doing the Ketoret. Anybody bring the Olat Tamid this morning? Anybody like the Menorah, the Bet HaMikdash? This the whole Sefer Vayikra. Says Rabbeinu Ari, don't worry. Those mitzvot that nobody could do, if you learn about those mitzvot, it's like you did it. We call that in English lip service. You know what lip service is? That sometimes we can serve God lip service by reading it. Every morning we start our prayers, we read the Korban Tamid. We read it. God says, he's reading it, boom, he brought the Korban. Then what do I read right after that? The Ketoret. Ketoret, give me the Ketoret. Then, before Baruch She'amar, I take the Sidur and I read Lam Nasayach Binginot Mizmor Shir in the shape of the menorah. Oh, you just lit the menorah. So there's a lot of mitzvot that we're able to learn, and by learning we fulfill. And then you don't have to come back as Gilgul. Now watch the story what happened in this with this goy. You need to know one more hadush. For those of you that travel, I don't know if they still say it today in the travel agencies, but each part of a trip is called a leg. Each leg from New York to Fort Lauderdale is one leg, and then Fort Lauderdale back to New York is the second leg. That's the way they say it. The goy came to Shammai and he said, Gayireni al regel ahat. What he meant to say is, I want to become Jewish, but I want a one-way trip, one leg. I don't want to come back as Gilgul. Al regel ahat. I want one leg. I want to get there. I don't want to come back. Shammai didn't understand what he was talking about. Regel ahat. This is not a game. He threw him out. Shammai, Hillel, regel ahat. I know what he wants. He wants to be pure 613 mitzvot without any return. No returns, no refunds. So he told them, what you don't want to do to others, don't. What you don't want it to be done to yourself, don't do to others, which means ahdut. You have to be united with Am Yisrael. Then you'll gain all those mitzvot that you don't have. Then he told them, V'idach, and the other mitzvot that nobody can do, Zil Gemor, go learn them. And by learning them, you'll get the credit as if you did it. And therefore you'll have regel ahat. The ones that you could do, you do. The ones that you can't do, be part of Klal Yisrael, ba'ahdut. And the ones that nobody can do, Zil Gemor, go learn those and you get credit. That's the one-legged conversion. I have a postscript, a PS to this Hiddush that we said this year, B'Hazdei Hashem. I don't know if you learned Pirkei Avot, but our custom is between Pesach and Shavuot, we study Pirkei Avot. There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, Shammai Omer, Shammai says, Aseh Toratecha Keva. Emor me'at va'aseh harbe. Shammai said, make your Torah keva. Keva is permanent. Emor me'at, say a little, va'aseh harbe. Say a little, do a lot, ve'meh mekabel et kol ha'adam besever panim yafot. And accept everybody graciously. When I was teaching this Mishnah this year in the Pirkei Avot, I was bothered. Shammai is saying random things. Aseh Torah decha keva, make your Torah permanent. Emor me'at v'aseh harbe, speak a little, do a lot, and accept everybody with a smile. It's like random Hiddushim. It's almost as if they told Shammai, listen, we're giving you one Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, whatever you have to say, just put it in that Mishnah. Okay, I'll say okay, that's in there. What else? What else do you have to say? Okay, put it in there also. A garden variety of all Hiddushim. But usually when the rabbis speak, they speak with a thread. There's a connection between all their statements. So this is what I said this year. If it's right, it's right. If it's not, it's a nice derash at least. You know what happened? Shammai was walking out of his yeshiva one day, and you know who he saw? He saw this guy. The guy has a beard, black hat, long coat. He's walking with a book under his arm. Shammai looks at him and says, hey, you look very familiar. He says, yeah, very familiar. I'm the guy. Oh, you're the hopscotch. You're the regular hot guy. What happened to you? I went across the street to Rabbi Hillel, and he said, what do you mean? What? He gave you a conversion on one leg? No, you misunderstood me. I wanted one leg, I didn't want to come back as Gilgul. So what did Hillel tell you? He told me, listen, what you could do, you have to do. You have to love Am Yisrael, and whatever you can't do, you learn about, and wow, Shammai said, what a mistake I made. Shammai would come along and write this Mishnah reflecting about that story. And he said, Aseh Toratecha Keva. You must make your Torah permanent. Which means there's a way to make your Torah permanent that you don't have to come back as Gilgul. That you can go to Olam Haba, Keva, permanent. How? Emor Me'at. Certain mitzvot you're going to have to learn about. Emor Me'at. Some of them you're going to have to read. Because nobody can fulfill them. Ba'aseh Harbeh. There's a lot of mitzvot that only you could do. And what about the ones that your friend has and you don't have? If you accept everybody with a smile and unity, you'll get those mitzvot as well. Shammai was giving the same advice that Hillel gave. 3 rules. Emor me'at. You have to read the Ketoret, you have to read the Korban Tamid, you have to read the Menorah. V'aseh harbeh, but you have to do a lot yourself. You could put on tefillin, you could keep Shabbat, you could go to the mikveh, you could make hana, that you cannot rely on others. So it comes out that Ahdut is not just something that feels good. Our neshama depends on the Ahdut. Bar Minan, where there's mahloket, besides we're breaking pisukim and turning everybody into individual letters, we're changing directions from right to left to right. When there's mahloket has v'shalom, we're breaking the yudke vavke from the adanut. Therefore there's no mituk, there's no sweetening. There's a lot of collateral damage from the mahloket, and it pushes away parnasa to beat. So it's not worth it. It's bad business. It doesn't make sense on any ground. Somebody asked me this week in the Bet Knesset. I understand now Korah's bad, Mahloket, terrible. But why did Moshe Rabbeinu pray that he should be swallowed in the ground? He could get killed a million ways. What's the inyan in the ground? And this is a musar to us. And I'll leave you with this. There was a great rabbi called Meshech Chochmah. Meshech is Rashi Tevot, Meir Simcha Cohen, Midvinsk. Meshech Chochmah. One time 2 people came to him and they were arguing over a piece of land. Ze omer kula sheli, veze omer kula sheli. Each one saying, it's my land, it's my land, it's my land. He took it from me, I have the deed, I have the... They're fighting. So the rabbi says, very simple. You say the land is yours, and you say the land is yours. Let's ask the land. Let's ask the land. Oh, we didn't know that's an option. So the Meshech Chochmah goes down to the land, he puts his ear to the ground, he says, He says, I asked the land, and the land says, you say that the land belongs to you, and you say the land belongs to you, and the land says both of you belong to it. Because at the end of the day, the land is going to be on top of both of you. The Meshech Chochmah was using wisdom. He was saying life is too short to spend your whole life embroiled in fighting and revenge and all sorts of... People go to court for years and they're spending all sorts of... They're fighting it out. Life is too short. You're saying the land is yours and the land is yours. At the end, the land always wins. The land is always on top. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to teach Bnei Yisrael. Korah, life, you're not going to live forever. It's not worth to spend your life in fighting with people. Instead of involving yourself in negative, involve yourself in good things. Mahloket slows you down. It ties you up. When a person is involved in mahloket, he can't pray with kavanah. He cannot be a good husband and a good father. His mind is broiling over the mahloket. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, Korah, you forgot the rule of life, that the earth always wins. And therefore, the one that forgets, that's going to be your punishment. Let the earth go on top of you. Let everybody see that it's not kedai. We're not so rich in time that we can afford to waste many years involved in mahloket. Helek mavet bar minan. To the Kahal Kadosh I say, especially in this time that the community is going through great crisis, with the great Rabbi Uziel, that, well, we believe in miracles.
What else can we do for Rabbi Uziel? Because his condition is worsening right now.
Go slow. I said a mouthful tonight. If they could, this is not a restaurant where we just read off things to do. We spoke about something which is the most important. Tell them, go check the mezuzot.
Change his name.
Leave all that. That's what he has to do. Our tikkun, to get rid of the judgments and to get rid of the dinim, is to make ahdut. What does it mean? If there's shalom bayit between man and wife, to accept upon himself, yeh more shalom in the house. We're going to work more to have the proper respect, the proper dibur, the proper speech, the proper behavior. If there's 2 neighbors that are living next to each other that are b'mahloket, this is the way we get rid of the judgments. We're going to settle it. Even if it costs us some money, big deal, it's the best money you'll ever spend. If there's mahloket between congregants, or bar minan between family members, this is the biggest tikkun that one could make. Not only for the great rabbi, this is the tikkun for your own neshama. Some rabbi said, Le'ilui neshama is not only for the dead people, but it's for Le'ilui your own neshama when you're alive, to lift your own spirit. And therefore I say, like we say at the final beracha in Arabit, Hashkibenu abinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim tovim u'shalom. And then we say, Ufros alinu sukat shalomecha, put us under your sukkah of peace. Once you're under the sukkah of peace, v'asir memenu, makat choli, deber, hereb, choli, sarah, ra'av, yagor, mashchit, magefa, everything goes away. Once there's the peace, all these things, whether there's a cure or no cure, but they go away. It's from the satanim, it's from the sitra hara, it all goes away. And that's why the beracha ends. Shomer et amo Yisrael. God is shomer et amo Yisrael mikol davar la'ad. But why? Because of the shalom. And that's what I say to the kahal tonight. Hisku v'yametz lebabchem kol yahalim Adonai. We should be all strengthened to be a little more sensitive to this concept of ahdut. To put the letters back together. You've succeeded already. I've been here for 2 nights. As I said last night in Sha'arei Ezra, when I saw all the people there, and I see all the people here tonight, every seat is taken, there's people standing. I look at my calendar, is this Elul? Is this Yamin Ora'im? Is it before Kippur? When do we have in a weekday night, the entire community comes out to hear the Divrei Torah? Ashrechem v'ashrei chalkechem. This moment and last night's moment, when God looks down and He sees Umi ka'amecha Yisrael goy echad va'aris. At that moment during the shiur, we have no agenda. In the shiur, everybody just comes for the same matara, the same purpose. To hear Musar, to hear Tivrei Chizuk. Nobody has any angles. We're all here for the same purpose. That's the ahdut of purpose. We've accomplished much. Borei Olam has seen over the past 2 nights a community do something that is a proper reaction. That's the way Am Yisrael reacts during crisis. Of course we pray, we read the Tehillim, but we make shiurim when we come together. Now we have to pray to Borei Olam, V'tov be'anecha aseh. Asinu et shelanu. Ve'achshav Borei Olam aseh et shelcha. We did what we're supposed to do, but it has to be permanent. Aseh toratecha keva. It has to be not just a fad. The rabbi goes back to New York and everybody goes back like a rubber band to the way that they were before. And then Be'ezrat Hashem will be fulfilled on the kahal. Adonai oz le'amo yiten. Adonai yibarech et amo b'shalom. Baruch Adonai le'olam.